Welcome everyone to Internet Safari, Wild Stories Daily. Today from Reddit's AskReddit, the thread by Stuart Redman, 81. Has anyone encountered anything supernatural or just naturally creepy that you don't tell people for fear of being thought insane? What's your story? First story from Stuart Redman himself, the original poster of the thread. Stuart writes, this thread happened over a decade ago to me, and I don't tell people I know for fear of being thought of it as weird or overly dramatic or just downright crazy. Back then, I lived in a small village just outside of Sherborne in Dorset in the UK. I can't remember exactly when, but I think it was about December, as it was freezing cold outside and I'd just left my parents' evening at school and was driving home about 8 p.m. and it was dark already. So I was knackered, had my radio on, and did the 20-minute drive home. The car was heating up, so I started to feel comfy and sleepy as I drove through Sherborne out into Dorset countryside towards home. My house was situated down a single-lane road with woods on one side and big fields on the other. As I turn into the road, I slam my brakes in, as there's something big in the road. It takes me a while to figure out that it's a giant dog in the middle of the road, leaving the fields and heading into the woods. This thing was bigger than the front of my car. Its head must have been 5 feet off the ground. It looked like a giant German shepherd with dark fur all over from my brief impression. And it was just standing there in profile with my headlights on it. Its head was turned towards me, and its lips were drawn back, and the snarl was terrifying. Honestly, not sure if it was the adrenaline or tiredness, but I've only been terrified like that in nightmares. I didn't wait to see what it did. I reversed back onto the road and went and had a pint in the pub back in Sherborne and Googled what I just saw. I didn't find anything specific to the area or any dog that really looked like what I'd seen. It wasn't an Irish wolfhound. I finally found the courage to drive back, and it's gone. I park as close to my front door as possible and sprint to my front door with keys ready and get inside. I was a 33-year-old teacher and felt ridiculous. I spent a good few hours just looking out the window, seeing if I could spot anything, which I didn't, and I never did again. Wow, great story. I know a lot of us probably have been in a similar situation at night where you just see something and you have no explanation for it, like shadows that just look too creepy and unreal. I've felt the same many times. And that's so funny. He just decided to go to the bar instead of just continuing home, which against his first intentions to just go home for the night. That's so funny. Here's another story in the same thread from My Name is Boxcar. My partner and I had rented a cabin for a weekend, and it was absolutely wonderful. We loved every part from the cabin itself to the surrounding area and couldn't wait to come back until last night. We were just falling asleep when I wake up to my partner jumping out of the bed. He's shushing me because he's trying to listen to something. He hears something outside of our door. It's a slow, faint scraping, like someone's fingers on the wall. I hear it too. So now we're freaking out. We'd locked the front door Even if it was an animal, our room was all the way on the second floor, tucked in the very back. The stairs were these wood planks with big gaps. There were plenty of other doors open and food left out in the kitchen. Why and how did it make it all the way to us? Why was it slowly scraping the wall, over and over, so slowly? We sit and listen for what feels like hours. We're so sure someone broke in or it's some rabid animal that he asks me to grab a large object to use as a weapon. I'm digging in the closet I've never been in, and all I find are guns. Large wooden guns. I don't know if we were too wound up or going into fight or flight mode or what, but we were sure at that point the owners were messing with us. We finally got back into bed. We never opened the door, never investigated, mostly because as we were laying there trying to calm down and finally sleep, we hear a very loud thud from the neighboring room on the shared wall, which was above the bed. It was smack dab above our heads in the middle of the wall, like someone threw a softball as hard as they could. Maybe it was an animal, but it's been years and I'm still not fully convinced something supernatural or incredibly creepy wasn't happening. Well, certainly it does seem something incredibly creepy was happening in that cabin that night. I don't know about supernatural. There's all sorts of creaks and noises, especially in old wooden cabins. This story really resonated with me quite a bit because I had a similar experience in which me and my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, we were staying in an Airbnb that was just a room rented out in the back of a woman's house. And this woman had a backyard full of all these yard decorations that could move, like the ducks with their arms waving or swimming in the wind. And it was a little bit too much, honestly. There was so many little things moving around in the yard, and you could hear them kind of squeaking a little bit as they were moving. And during the day, that was kind of cute and charming, kind of like a grandma's house. But during the night, it was a little bit creepy, and right when we were going to get to bed, there was this like kind of cooing noise, almost like a pigeon cooing, but more like almost a rubbing noise that was kind of coming from, it seemed like under the house, or it might have been in the yard. We couldn't really tell because it was night. And we did the same thing. We just got under the sheets and tried to just ignore it. But that was really disturbing to hear in the middle of the night. And the noise was kind of like this. I'll never forget that noise. But yeah, what a scary story. And that's the worst feeling, really, when you have that sense of fear at night, or just when you're trying to settle down. It's such a confusing and scary contrast, trying to settle down, but also having this sense of fear. Here's another story from the same thread by Emperor of Florida. Swear I saw a guy that passed away at my job. The property was empty except for the plant manager and the night shift, like 7 people. My boss was telling me about a meeting while I was in the plant, then exited into the front offices. I went to the locker room for like 30 seconds after he talked to me, then exited back to the plant and started also walking into the front offices. There's a stairwell that goes behind the kilns, and I saw someone stocky standing at the top of the stairs, just standing there motionless. I saw them out of the corner of my eye, but know for sure someone was standing there. My first quick thought was it was just my boss, but I was like, wait, he just walked into the offices. No way he could have made it up there that fast. No reason for him to be up there too. I went back and no one was there. A guy fell through the roof there and passed away. I asked the maintenance supervisor what the guy looked like a few months later, and he pretty much described what I saw. I think a lot of us have been in that situation where we see something out of the corner of our eyes and mistake it for something else, especially when you're alone. You're at night too. Your mind makes up things, and man, that really messes with me too. Here's another story, same topic. Shortly after my grandfather passed away, we were staying in his house while my parents cleared it out. I would have been about 10 or so. A couple of days in, I woke up in the middle of the night and just felt that he was there. I sat on the couch with him and said my goodbyes. That was a story I felt was very heartwarming. It's sad about losing someone, of course, but I think we all have been there, or you'll get there, sorry to say, when we lose someone. And I feel like I often can feel those I've lost to around me sometimes. At least maybe it's just wishful thinking, but I sure hope I do, and I draw inspiration from that, and remembering the great people that I loved and enjoyed spending time with. Well, those were stories from AskReddit today. It's my honor to host this show for you. If you could do me a favor and just tell someone about the show, I would really appreciate that. See you on the next safari.